to Apothecary After Dark. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Apothecary After Dark. We are your hosts. I am Dina.
And I'm Danielle. Hello.
We're so excited to be coming to you with a very timely topic.
Yeah.
Because literally, this happens all the time, but we wanted to discuss it because we care about everybody, and there's a fine line between the witchy, the woo-woo, the psychic, the signs, but there is a line to overboard.
Yeah, so today's theme, we thought it would be a fun discussion to focus in on spiritual psychosis.
Dun, dun, dun. Every time you say psychosis, I'm going to go dun, dun, dun.
It's a very juicy topic because, one of the things that we advocate for here is personal accountability and personal development and integrating shadow work along with your development and growth. So, we have people who come in of all walks and all stages and all different intentions, and they may start asking us for things such as intention candles or spell work to be done or a whole plethora of things, but we're like, but are you having the basic conversations?
Right. So let's give a practical example. Had a younger person come in, and like most younger people, the conversation is centered around love and love interests, right? And they were inquiring as to whether this person was going to pan out to be, something meaningful in like a meaningful relationship or a love interest or what have you. And I said, did you have that conversation with the other person? Like, is
this person aware that they're your soulmate?
Did you pick up the phone and you were like, hi, I'm into you. Are you into me? It's like, I'm feeling some type of way. Are you feeling that way?
Yeah.
And
we've never had like an in real life meeting, discussion,
can we get together?
FaceTime.
Can we have this? So, and I get like being vulnerable and having those conversations. That's like super scary for anybody, whether you're in your early 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, 150. Having that level of personal vulnerability can be anxiety causing.
Right. But, we live here in the real world. So if you're having those feelings for somebody, you really, as a practical next step, if you're corresponding and you're starting to develop feelings, you have to have those qualifying discussions and conversations and say, where is this going? Is there potential here? What's our next step?
Right.
Is it reciprocated? Is it based in reality? Or is it really like a little la-la delulu for them to be saying, hi, can you make me an intention candle for hand fasting, which is the equivalent of marriage before they even take those steps.
Can you do a spell for me? But I never had a conversation with the intended. It's and listen, we're not saying it's bad to give a little push.
Sure.
But you need to, when we were talking about this earlier before we started rolling the cameras, we talk about a very famous book, and I think we might be, I'm looking at one. Maybe I'll run off camera in a minute and get one. Okay. But there's a book called The Kabbalion, and in it talks about the 7 Hermetic principles. Mm-hmm. So you might have heard as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so my soul. I probably butchered the hell out of it.
Yeah.
However, again, if you want something to happen in the outer world, you still have to do the inner work. So you can't just do a spell or an intention candle, but never make the phone call and put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm into you.
The real life reality needs to be in alignment with the intentions that you're setting. So all of those tools can help support your intention. You could set up a crystal grid with that intention, and then when you leave the room, that grid is going to help support your intention.
Right.
However, if your everyday actions are not in alignment and doing the actions and having the conversations and getting you closer in reality to that outcome, no amount of candles or magic is going to get you there.
Yeah, absolutely. In the case of this young person, I had said to them, again, did you have the phone call?
Yeah.
Like, I'm such a pain. I'm like this. high, like pretending, like pantomiming, like,
Yes.
you know, I'm really into you. Things have been going well. I'm catching feelings. I'm feeling some type of way. Are you into me in that way? Yes, great. Let's make time for each other. Oh, you can't make time for me? Well, then I no longer can give you access to me because I'm ready to make time, and I can't just be breadcrumbed by somebody because that doesn't feel good for me, right? So there's the boundaries there.
And then that's also their answer. The answer is in the actions.
Correct.
So you need to make sure as you set up these qualifiers and these protections, the only thing we're in control of is our own actions.
Yeah.
So when we conduct this type of work, the intention work, the spell work, the candle work, the grid work, the energy work, whatever it may be, it needs to be based on your own self-will, because that's going to support what is in your control. You can't control what's in the universe of other people's actions, behaviors,
And the constant
intentions.
changing free will.
Right. And to say, oh, well, this person's my soulmate. Well, they may be a soulmate, but maybe that soulmate was sent into your life to help you establish self-esteem or boundaries, or to teach you a lesson that you need to qualify the situations you're putting yourself in.
Soulmates aren't always going to be puppies, rainbows, and unicorn farts.
Quite often, they're not, because we are here to learn and to evolve and to soul growth. And the way that we do that is usually through the painful experiences, because we have to grow through it. As much as that's
what you go through, don't you want to just like lay on Sunrise Highway when somebody says that?
I know, you don't want to hear that. People want to like punch me when I say that. I get it. It's like a brutal statement, but like really, someone's soul. Trust me, I've had my share of soulmates, and they have been painful life lessons. But I've also grown, because how do you learn self-worth unless you stand up to somebody devaluing you?
Correct.
How do you learn the lesson of forgiveness unless a soulmate or a significant person that's close enough to you somehow offends or betrays you? Like, you have to learn how to get to a point of forgiveness after that offense has been caused. So that's where the growth comes from. So the only thing that's in our control is our own actions. And if we are doing that type of work to attract our soulmate, the soulmate that we want as our partner, is we have to pour into ourselves to make ourselves the best version of ourselves, so that we vibrate at that level. And then what we put out energetically into the universe is what we attract back to us by doing our own work. So then when you set your intention, you could say, I like these qualities that so-and-so possesses, so like this person or better.
Right.
Not that person, because then if you get into like, you know, binding spells and like pulling somebody's hair or blood work, like there's crazy magic that goes on, but
Usually that doesn't work out well.
It usually gets a little messy.
But you could do you, like if that's your jam, like no judgment, but I just, you know, you got to be careful, and the universe is funny. And sometimes things don't have a way of working out exactly like you think it's going to. You know, when it comes to like, you know, spiritual psychosis, another thing is you can convince yourself that things are signs when they're not signs. We had a friend of ours that was constantly convincing themselves that they were in these relationships that were like sent by a loved one that had been crossed over, and it was this sign. A rabbit meant this, a robin meant this, a friggin' string bean meant that. I mean, really, like anything became a sign.
It became everything.
Anything and everything.
Yeah.
And every single person, like it just like went south. And I thought to myself, like, it's like a lot of pressure to put on yourself and the other person to expect like soulmate and all like the loaded like stuff that comes with calling somebody a soulmate in like a relationship when you're like, hi, I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you. Like you're just like sharing a fucking glass of water and you're like, this is my soulmate. Like, pump the brakes.
I mean, listen, there are synchronicities. There's soul recognition.
Yeah.
Like, definitely. I think sometimes if you shared past lives, or if you have a soul contract with them, they're supposed to come into your life. Like, there may be those little signs that are recognizable.
Yeah.
And the more that you start recognizing them, cool. Those are little validations and synchronicities. But you have to ask yourself, when everything, like your head is in the clouds, that's what it means. Your vibration's so up here and so lofty that you feel you're not living in reality, that everything becomes kind of delusional. You have to ground yourself here on the earth. So I like to say this statement when we talk about chakras and like the crystal work, because people come in and they say, I want to ascend, I want to open my crown, I want to open my third eye, I want to, develop all of these gifts. Well, a mighty oak needs to have roots as deep in and under the ground as it does in the height that it soars. So otherwise it will topple over. So you need to be solidly grounded, because we are here or incarnated on this earth to have an earthly human experience. So people that are just like, I want to just live up in the la-las, like it's not based in reality. You have to come down and like ground yourself.
And that's not right. Like to your point, that's not why we're here. It's not the lesson of the moment. We're here to have an earthly experience, and that involves crossing the street safely and paying bills, typically monthly.
Yes, and I also think there are a lot of people who, especially in the land of like TikTok and social media and the immediacy of instant gratification, and they're like, oh, well, I watched this one video, so therefore I am an expert because I have these gifts. You may be born with innate gifts. Everybody is. Some are stronger than others. But if you don't mentor and practice what you learn and read books, like we have a sticker that says real witches read books.
We do. We read a lot of books.
Because there are people that we know who have come in and they're like, I am spiritually, better than you and superior, and I was a grandmaster in a past life, and I fully believe that I have the gifts. Well, okay, if you don't know the first thing about Adam in terms of like your practice, it's called a practice because you put it into everyday practice.
Right.
Like, sir, good luck with yourself. God bless. And
give my regards to Bob Cratchit.
Exactly. So part of our responsibility is to help ground people in reality and like help them grow and help them ascend and help them expand their consciousness, but with the responsibility
Right, like
too.
what's the first thing that like the paranormal investigators do when they come into a haunted place is they try to debunk everything by going to what makes sense. Yeah. So if a door is opening or closing, they're like, is there a draft? Is there a loose screw? Is there a spring on the door? And they go through all of these things that would make sense for causation. And I think, like you said, like that's a little bit of a responsibility here as well. Like, so the person comes in and says, I want to know if this relationship's going to work out and if this person's into me. I'm like, well, did you ask?
Right.
Step one in the real world is we're just, but the simple things are often the hardest. Yeah. It's actually easier, albeit a long way around the block, to come in, to not have to get vulnerable with the person that you're interested in, to speak to a psychic, buy into what they say, have them make you a candle, have them burn it for 7 days, burn some crap on the full moon, which is all fun because it's an outward expression of our desires. But if you're not willing to take the risk to make a phone call to ask somebody, the universe can be like, nah.
They're not serious about it. Well, you're not serious about it. So, and so let's talk about manifesting and manifesting abundance and manifesting the dream job or being a millionaire. And then you have $20 to your name and you're running across to 7-Eleven to buy a scratch off. Well, is that based in reality? Are you going to win the lotto? Chances are you're probably just spending $20 and maybe you'll get another $20 to buy another ticket. But if you really want to get that job, that dream job, you have to hone your craft. You have to actually do the work. Mm-hmm. So you can light as many manifestation candles as you would like. You can, take money baths and set up money bowls and put it in the southeast corner of your house, and all of that will help. But you need to actually be qualified and put in the work. So again, the work that you're doing, is it in alignment with the goals that you're setting? And then that brings us back to the manifestation discussion that we had. But, let me talk about one other thing. hexing, like the spiritual psychosis. People are like, I'm cursed. Yes. I am cursed forever. Like people put a hex on me and I need to remove the hex and like the ghosts are out to get me. There may be some action. Listen, I don't know. That requires some investigating. There are cases. However,
usually,
are you involved in habits or practices that might be causing some disruption in your life?
Right.
Like people are like, I just can't get out of this poverty. I can't save money. I'm like, well, I can see that you actually are like in an altered state right now. Like you are sinking to high heaven because I could tell that you're high as you walk into my store. So maybe lay off the substances.
Yeah. No judgment to people that like to partake. But the amount of times that I've said.
Is that in alignment with what they're talking about?
A little bit less marijuana, a little bit more doing. I've said that quite a few times to people.
I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real.
Fart.
But like these are some basic steps. So like maybe in the middle of the day, if you're stinking to maybe
it's like 2:00 on a Tuesday.
This could be a good time to hone your craft of your career change.
But in terms of hexing, like
an idea.
It's really very rare for are there places that you could go for money where they are talented enough where they will put work on somebody? Yes, those places exist. Is it typically usual that you're hexed and like the result of the hex is going to be that like you get a minor cold and stub your toe on a Wednesday? Probably not.
One of the things that people should be cautious of if they fear they've been hexed or they fear that they're cursed and their love life is cursed and they can never get ahead, it leaves them open and vulnerable to being taken advantage of. And it's very, very upsetting to Dina and I and to the staff when people come in here and they share openly and vulnerably with us and they say, here's the situation. I've been dealing with this for months. I have this streak of bad luck and I met with this psychic and they gave me a reading and said that I'm hexed and that they're going to give me this crystal. Like one woman walked in with a quartz. It was like the lowest quality quartz geode you could possibly buy. And it was like spray painted or dyed blue.
It was painted or sprayed.
Literally
really
dyed.
bad.
It was the worst. And she said she gave me this, and I paid her like $1,500.
So much money.
And my heart broke for her because she was preyed upon. And it breaks my heart because I'm just like, oh girl. Yeah. Like you were just being taken advantage of, and she didn't know any better. And there are people who do not operate with integrity.
And if you're really sad and you're in an anxious place or a place where you're just really low and you don't have somebody to talk to, and this person is an ear and you're like spilling your guts to them. Yeah, I could see how that happens. We don't want to ever see that. So,
same thing with love. Like, oh yes, he's your soulmate. And you have to like, remember that documentary about like the whole twin flame, and they were telling people like, oh, you just tell them.
Yeah, twin flame universe. That's still going on. Like those people are still like out there in the world. People are still paying for this. And like, and that was like so insidious too, because people were being told that they had to change their gender.
And like, people had orders of protection against their supposed match, and they were still like, you have to be with me. Like, that is extreme examples. But when you're in such a state, you have to stop and assess, like, is this really based in reality?
It doesn't
make sense. This person is so resistant to me. Does that really seem like the right fit? Is it really your soulmate, or is it like, maybe it's not for you? Maybe we do the inner work and we reflect on qualities and things that we could do for our own selves to boost our own confidence.
Yeah, and listen to yourself and listen to your body and listen to your gut. Like, I think some of my most powerful magic is when I get like really in touch with my body and the responses I'm getting within my own body. if you can get clear on what a yes feels like for you and what a no feels like to you, or when you felt a no, but then you convinced yourself it should be a yes, and then what resulted from that.
Right.
And that's why I swear to God, every single episode we're mentioning journaling, but just keeping track as like in a calendar where maybe you said yes to something that wasn't an immediate yes, and then how did that turn out?
Yeah.
Because, listen, sometimes I'm a little bit of a curmudgeon and people invite me to things and my initial response is typically no because I don't want to leave the house.
Right.
But then I'll say yes and I'll have fun.
Yeah.
So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is really tuning into your body and when an opportunity is presented to you and you're like, I don't know, something doesn't seem right about that, but then you convince yourself otherwise.
Right.
And then you're like, how does that work out? You have to start trusting yourself.
Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So literally, that's energetically your solar plexus, which is your belly barometer, which is your point of truth. It is the energy vortex that serves as the voice of your higher self. So when you walk into a room and you get a bad feeling and you're like, oh, I knew I should have trusted my gut. That is your intuition. That is your truth. So usually when you don't trust that and you act against it, you're like, oh, I really regret doing that. I should have listened to myself. So that's why I like to spend time out in nature, and I put the technology away because it allows me to just kind of get back in touch with, what's it called? The circadian rhythms.
The circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm. So that you just learn to like quiet your mind, just be aware of what's around you and like reground yourself. Get back in touch with yourself because we're so inundated with like life and tech and this and that. But like journaling and quiet time, meditation, taking a nice hot shower.
Getting back into your body to be in tune with yourself, your body, your reaction. So you're getting more grounded. So you're not open and vulnerable to either people that want to prey on you or falling into this like
false narrative.
False narrative. Again, being able to pick up the phone and ask somebody if they're into you, being able to put real actionable things into place for you to make the life that you want instead of like pulling another tarot card. Listen, it's great we love tarot cards, but if you're constantly pulling and be like, no, another one, or if you're reader shopping and going from place to place to get the answer that you want, you need to have an honest conversation with yourself. Like, what is it that I need to hear that I'm like going psychic shopping for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, a reader should be validating what you already know to be true. So like, again, that's if it feels right and you're like, oh, you know what, that rings true. That's usually your truth. So it's a validation, not like, oh, let's schedule another, 10 sessions and then maybe they'll fall in love with you. So just give me thousands of dollars like that. That's not based in reality. So we caution you about it. Like there's so many beautiful gifts of this trade, but there's also risks to it of just falling prey. So like you have to be grounded in reality.
Yeah, because it's all to make you a better, more whole version of yourself. It's not to get you into these relationships that don't serve you, either, romantically, friend, mentor, or otherwise. It should always be serving you in a way to make you the more fullest expression of yourself.
Yeah, and staying in situations much longer than they should because you feel you have some psychic obligation or tie to that situation. Like, trusted friends go a long way. But make sure that everything's in alignment with your intentions based in reality and actions. So we hope that this is really helpful. If you have any questions, we're always here to serve and to provide our perspective and insights. And we would love to hear from you if you agree or disagree.
Or have you ever had any situations where you've either fell into something like this, or maybe you were taken advantage of some way, or maybe you were talking yourself into something because of signs? We definitely want to hear from you.
Thanks for spending so much time with us, guys. We look forward to connecting with you again, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Remember, you can find us at all the places at AmityvilleApothecary.com. I don't know why I said .com. It's just Amityville Apothecary, but also our website is AmityvilleApothecary.com. I just went on autopilot there for a minute. And share this with your friends if you think they'd be interested. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and we'll catch you the next episode.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so we thought it would be really fun starting now to pull a tarot card to give you the energy for the next couple of weeks before our next episode. We do our episodes twice a month, every other week, right?
Yeah.
So we figured let's start doing something new and pulling a card for you and giving you a little bit of like a read for the collective.
All right, I'm going to shuffle it.
She's a better shuffler. I'm a terrible shuffler.
Well, it's all right. You have smaller hands.
Child's
and this
hands.
is like,
it's a little stiff.
it's a little stiff.
up.
One more, and then we will pull
We're
a card.
working from the Smith-Waite Tarot deck, and we're doing, okay, we got King of Pentacles here.
Mm-hmm.
So we love a good King of Pentacles. Pentacles is a suit of money, manifestation, and abundance. So this is a good thing.
And the king represents mastery.
So I would say moving forward for the next 2 weeks, keep your eye on your coin. Look at him. He's literally looking at his coin. So keep your eye on your coin. I'm sort of feeling the energy of possibly expenditures are going to come up where you're going to have to make a decision, and you really should think about, is this a wise expenditure of your money or not? You know, look to see maybe if there are less expensive options or ways you could be more cost effective, because it's just feeling like, for me, the thing that I lasered in on this card is him looking at his coin. So just pay attention, maybe check your balances, check that everything that's being deducted from your bank accounts is actually services that you're getting.
Yeah, discernment. And I'm noticing that there is a plethora of bulls, which represent Taurus, and he's got the yellow sun for the summer. So the Taurus loves material possessions, but they're very smart, and they can be stubborn and frugal. So just like be wise and enjoy the material possessions that you've accrued, but that came with a lot of hard work. So protect it, be smart, be wise, but congratulations, because you're making very wise, smart decisions as well. So keep it up. Thanks so much for listening to us today. We look forward to connecting with you again soon, so be sure to come back for the next episode.
And make sure to follow us on social media. It's the fastest way you can get in touch with us at Amityville Apothecary, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And of course, like, subscribe to this podcast. We are eternally grateful for your support.